What's up YouTube, my name is Tunde Victor and welcome back to another amazing video. And in this video I'm going to be showing you two easy methods on how you can remove blemishes from the skin of your subject or your model. And I use these two methods and they are working for me, and I'm just going to share it with you guys right now. So the first thing you want to do when you import your image to Photoshop, you first of all duplicate your layer. So this is my layer tab right here. So just click on Ctrl J on your keyboard to duplicate your layer, or you can just click on your background layer and drag it to this plus icon right here at the bottom, and it's going to duplicate your subject layer for you. After you duplicate your layer, just create a new empty layer, and to do that all you have to do is come down here and click on this plus icon right here to create a new empty layer. So you can see this is my new empty layer which I just created. So after that you come to your toolbar, and there are different tools you can use to remove blemishes from your skin. I'm going to show you the tools that are most effective for me and when and where to use them. So if I want to remove those blemishes on the skin right now, this blemishes right here, as you can see, so I'll just come to my close stamp tool. I'll pick my close stamp tool, and for my settings, make sure you're using a soft round brush, and make sure your mode is on normal, make sure your opacity is on 100, make sure your flow is on 100, and make sure align is checked. And since you are working on a new empty layer, for your sample, make sure current and below is checked. So just click on current and below, because if it's on current layer and you just sample and brush, you are saying it's not going to work because you are working on an empty layer. So nothing is on this layer. So if I just sample and brush, it's sampling nothing and it's painting nothing because it's an empty layer. So just come to this your sample and change this to current and below. So select your empty layer, then come to your sample and click on current and below. So once I click on current and below like this, and I press alternate to sample and I brush, you can see that blemish is no longer there. So just sample and brush, and to sample, click on alternate to your keyboard, rather hold alternate to your keyboard and sample from a close by area and just paint over the blemishes. Sample and paint over the blemishes like that. So let me just quickly do it so I can show you the before and after, or let me just remove an obvious blemishes so you can see the before and after. So that's how you use this first method to remove blemishes. So this is the before and this is the after. And the reason why I like this method, you can reduce the opacity if you feel it's too much, or if you feel you make any mistake, you can just pick your eraser tool and just erase the part you feel you make a mistake, and the blemishes will come back like that. Or you can just delete the layer and start all over again if you want. And also another tool which I use to remove blemishes, so I really don't use this close stamp tool most of the time. For most part of my images I don't use this close stamp tool. So what I use my healing brush tool. So I'll just come down here to my toolbox right here. You can see this healing brush tool. I'm not using spot healing brush tool, I'm using the healing brush tool because I have more control over this healing brush tool, because I'll just sample from where I want, just like this close stamp tool. Click alternate to sample and just paint over the blemishes. And also for this one, make sure your mode is set to normal, make sure sample is checked, and make sure align is checked, and make sure your current and below is checked as well, and make sure your diffusion is set to 5. You can use 6 if you want, but my settings is 5, so 5 is working for me. So just sample from a close by area also and paint, sample and paint like that, sample and paint like that. And that's which you can also use the healing brush tool, and make sure your sample all layer is checked for this one, and content aware is checked. So once you click it, this time Photoshop will automatically remove the blemishes for you. You don't have to click on alternate to sample when you are using this tool right here. So just paint over the blemishes and Photoshop will automatically remove the blemishes for you. So if you are working on a job and you want to deliver it fast and quick, I recommend this spot healing brush tool. So make sure you're using the spot healing brush if you want to do a fast job. So this one gets the job done fast, and also it gives a good result. For me, I prefer using the close stamp tool and the healing brush tool if I want to remove my blemishes. So this is the first method which you can use to remove your blemishes. So another thing you should consider if you remove your blemishes, you can see these patches right here. If I try to remove it with my close stamp tool, sometimes it will not give you an accurate result. Or let me just use these ones right here as a good example. So if I try to use my close stamp tool to remove these ones right here, they are not going to give me a good result which I want. So to remove patches like this, all you have to do is come back to your background copy, make sure your patch tool is selected, and just zoom in and just make a selection of the place which you want to patch like this. So once you make selection, just click and drag it to any side. You can take it to the right side or to the left side, but just take it to any part you want to replace with that part. So you just pick your patch tool again and select, make a selection and just move it this way. Pick your patch tool, make a selection and just move it this way like this. So just take your time to do it. And also for this smile face right here, you can also use your patch tool to do that. So just come here and just fix it with your patch tool. So I'll do the same thing for this smile line right here and fix it with your patch tool. But if you are trying to fix it with your close stamp tool or your spot healing brush tool or your healing brush tool and it works for you, that's fine. But if it doesn't work for you, remember you have your patch tool. You can always use your patch tool to remove those patches like that. So now for the second method, which I used to remove my blemishes, I'm just going to delete this layer, which I did like this. So for the second method, I use the focus separation to remove the blemishes on the skin. Remember, when you do your focus separation, it separates the texture from the colors. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now, and we're going to be working on the textures because the blemishes are on the texture copy. So once we separate the colors from the texture, we can be able to work on the blemishes separately and the colors separately. And to do that, you can use any focus separation actions or any focus separation techniques which you have, as long as you have your texture in the separate layer and your colors in the separate layer. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be using this Retouching Academy. I'll just open my Retouching Academy. I'm going to be using the focus separation on this Retouching Academy, and like I said earlier, any focus separation you have will work for you. So I'm going to click on focus separation via Gaussian blur. And for my radius, if you want to know how to get the right focus separation radius, I have a video for that. I'll leave that video in the description below. So I'm just going to be using 12 for this image. I'll click on 12 and click on OK. So I'll just zoom in so I can be able to see my blemishes well. Remember, you don't have to zoom all the way in like this to remove blemishes. So just zoom into a moderate place where you feel you can see the blemishes and remove them. So right now I have my low frequency, which consists of the colors, and I have my high frequency, which consists of the textures. So I'll just make sure my high frequency layer is selected. So once it's selected, I'll just pick my close stamp tool or my healing brush tool, but I'm going to be working with close stamp tool for the sake of this tutorial. But remember, you can use any one. So once I pick my close stamp tool, you know, before we set our sample to current and below, so just change it back to current layer because we already have all the textures on this layer right here. If it's on current and below and I try to paint to sample and paint, you can see what's happening. Sample and paint is not making the image look good. That is because you are on current and below. So if you're having these issues right here, or you are seeing this on your Photoshop, just change your sample to current layer. So I'm just going to undo this. I'm just going to click on Ctrl Z to undo. So once I'm my current layer, I'll just sample from a close by area with my close stamp tool. Click and hold on alternate to your keyboard to sample. So once you sample from a close by area, take your hands off alternate and just paint over. Click, sample, paint over. You see why I love this focus separation technique? Because it gives accurate results. You're not going to see any patches after you remove the blemishes. So that's why I like using this focus separation techniques. Because the first one that I showed you, if you zoom in, you are going to see it's leaving a little bit of patches. But for this one, it doesn't leave patches. It's just there because I'm working only on the textures. I'm not selecting any color. I'm just selecting only textures. But for the first one, I'm selecting both colors and textures, so you can mix the colors and texture together. So I'll advise you use these techniques. But if you are working on a full body shot, just use any one you feel you want to use. But if you are working on a headshot like this and you want to get that beauty image, I prefer you use the focus separation method to remove your blemishes. Okay guys, I hope you learned something for this video. And if you enjoyed this video or you learned anything from this video, make sure to give this video a like so more people can see this video and learn from this video as well. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.